They appeared multiple times, continuously interacting with humans, yet never. Welcome back to Mr. Bichu's channel. Today, we are going to explore a series of videos about aliens and UFOs that have encountered humans. Sit tight and let's begin. It was 7 p.m. on August 21st, 1955, in Christian County, Kentucky, USA. Granny LaFord family, consisting of 11 members, was preparing dinner as usual. None of them could possibly imagine that just minutes later, a chain of inexplicable events would unfold. An encounter lasting several hours with an unnamed entity far beyond the scientific understanding of the time. What was this strange presence? Why has it become one of the most controversial alien encounters in modern history? It was a hot summer evening when the family was busy setting the table. Billy Ray Taylor, 21 years old, went out to fetch water from the well. There, he suddenly spotted a strange object peeking behind the horizon, silently gliding across the sky from the southwest. Its shape resembled a laundry tub or egg-like object, glowing brightly like the colors of a rainbow. A few seconds later, the object unexpectedly stopped mid-sky and slowly descended behind a deep ravine, approximately 12 meters down, surrounded by dense bushes and trees. At that time, space travel and extraterrestrial beings were no longer unfamiliar concepts, thanks to media coverage and popular science stories. Therefore, Billy immediately suspected that he had just witnessed something otherworldly. He quickly ran back inside to inform everyone, but his story was instantly dismissed as nonsense, prompting laughter from the others. However, about 45 minutes later, after the last light of sunset faded, the entire family suddenly heard the outside dog barking wildly. Billy and Elmer, aged 25, immediately stepped onto the back porch to check. They saw the terrified dog running and hiding under the house. Looking toward the area where the object had landed, the two young men noticed a strange light slowly moving through the bushes. It was a glowing creature resembling a human being, but only about 75 centimeters to 1.2 meters tall. Its head was round, bald, unusually large, and lacked a clearly defined neck connecting to its body. Its large yellow glowing eyes were spaced far apart, giving off an eerie appearance. Its long arms dangled close to the ground, with thick fingers and curved claws like hooks. On its head, there even appeared to be soft arms drooping on both sides. Billy described the nose as cone-shaped, tapering toward the tip with a small round ball at the end. A few women in the house gave different accounts, saying they didn't see a nose at all, though they admitted the bright eyes distracted them from focusing on other details. The upper body of the creature was said to be more muscular than the lower half, while its legs appeared stiff and inflexible, causing witnesses to suspect that they were used only for balance. As the strange entity moved closer, its gait became stranger, almost like wading through thick water. Some witnesses claimed its feet looked like suction cups. Others insisted it might have been made of metal or wearing some kind of silvery, reflective suit, making its form shimmer under the moonlight. Ba Langford later described it as looking like an 18-liter oil drum with a dome on top and small legs. Its outer shell shining like the surface of a refrigerator in the kitchen. Even the sketches drawn later by investigators matched reality so closely that the woman refused to look at them again. Several other witnesses also acknowledged the surprising accuracy, although others offered conflicting descriptions, leading to various illustrated versions. As the creature approached the house, the men inside felt threatened and immediately grabbed their guns and fired. But strangely, after being shot, it simply rolled backward, stood up, and darted into the night without injury or bleeding. At that moment, they realized that although the creature appeared weak and difficult to move, its arms were highly flexible, allowing it to move at surprisingly high speeds. According to Mrs. Langford's account, the women initially thought it was just a joke until one of them screamed in horror after witnessing everything firsthand. From that moment on, everyone became serious, and the children were immediately hidden under the bed. The men returned. Indoors, barricaded themselves, and waited in tension. Suddenly, the face of the strange entity appeared outside the living room window. The men immediately opened fire through the mesh screen, but it dodged by rolling away and disappeared quickly. At this point, B opened the door to assess the situation, when suddenly a hand reached out from nowhere and grabbed his hair, pulling hard. Fortunately, someone quickly pulled him back inside. M rushed out, raised his gun, aimed straight at the roof, and fired once again. The bullet hit the target. Witnesses reported that the sound resembled knocking on a tin can or metal sheet. But the fight wasn't over yet. Billy shouted that another creature was clinging to a nearby tree. He and M fired, causing the entity to fall, but suddenly it floated, down gently as if weightless. They fired again. The creature still escaped unharmed, leaving no sign of injury. Meanwhile, another object circled around the side of the house, approaching again and raising both hands high in a posture seen earlier. Later, Beaver believed the gesture might be a form of non-verbal communication. Without hesitation, he fired again, but as before, the creature quickly rolled and escaped. According to witness reports, its skin or outer armor emitted light, phenomenon believed to be due to moonlight reflecting off a metallic surface. However, the glow seemed brighter whenever the creature was hit or heard loud noises. The press later speculated there were between 12 and 15 entities, but original investigative agency reports indicated only a few, capable of moving at extraordinary speeds. Realizing pursuit was futile, the entire Langford family immediately returned indoors and barricaded themselves. Suddenly, the front and back porch lights turned on. They quickly realized these creatures avoided light and always tried to hide in darker areas. Then they occasionally appeared at the windows, as if playing a terrifying game of hide and seek, and finally vanished. Interestingly, despite appearing repeatedly, the strange beings never attempted to break in. The entire event was estimated to last about 3 to 4 hours, although the exact time was not verified. Some witnesses recalled seeing the creature touch Belle's hair around 8 or 9 p.m., while Mrs. Fore remembered the incident occurring near 10:30 p.m. They weren't sure exactly how many shots were fired, but by the end, the two brothers had nearly emptied a full box of ammunition. Around 11 p.m., the group decided to leave the house and report to the police by car. Upon arriving at the station, they rushed in excitedly and told their story in great detail. Regardless of whether the story was true or not, the authorities didn't find any signs of deception or staging. Everyone truly appeared panicked. Police medical staff confirmed Billy W. Tyler showed clear signs of fear, with his heart rate reaching 140, double the normal level. Regardless of how strange the event was, having multiple strange entities surround a house and withstand hours of gunfire without injury is not something to be taken lightly. Immediately, 16 local officers, including 4 military personnel from the military police, were dispatched to the scene. Interestingly, one officer reported seeing 2 meteors streak across the sky while en route to the farm. He described the sound as booming like cannon fire and insisted they flew in the opposite direction of the house. Law enforcement inspected the scene until around 2 a.m. The tense atmosphere was palpable. The family refused to return inside until every corner was thoroughly checked. Outside, in the field where the creature was supposedly shot, officers discovered a glowing patch of grass approximately 40 centimeters in diameter. Upon closer inspection, it didn't appear significantly different from the surrounding area, only brighter from certain angles. Others also claimed to have seen greenish glowing trails among the trees. Police confirmed the area bore clear signs of gunfire, spent cartridges scattered in the yard, and the window frame was damaged. Beyond those details, no evidence of the creature's presence was found. Around 2:15 a.m., the officers left and promised to return in the morning. But at 3:30 a.m., the creatures reappeared. Mrs. Langford saw one standing outside the window with glowing eyes and clawed fingers resting on the glass. She called the others to wake up. Upon hearing the news that the strange beings had returned, Elmer angrily grabbed his gun and fired at the target, but again, nothing happened. The creature disappeared and reappeared. The final sighting occurred around 4:45 or 5:15 a.m. The next morning, the officers returned for further investigation. Some even climbed onto the roof searching for footprints, but once again, nothing was found. Aside from the consistent testimonies, although only verbal accounts, all statements remarkably aligned with each other. Soon, the story spread across America, and much of the content was distorted and exaggerated. For example, in Evansville, Korea, the strange beings were dubbed Little Green Men, and this event helped popularize the term in pop culture. People flocked to the house to investigate for themselves, with numbers reportedly reaching into the thousands. The witness family grew exhausted from constant disturbances and gradually withdrew from public attention. Eventually, they began charging visitors for access and were accused of profiting from the situation. Later, everything quieted down, and the creatures never returned. So what really happened? Almost no physical evidence or clear traces of the creature's presence remain. Nearly all we can gather are the eyewitness accounts. No proper investigation followed afterward, potentially missing key pieces of evidence. Even after 7 decades, no clear answers exist. Therefore, we must rely solely on the testimony of the witnesses. The Langford family belonged to the working class in rural Kentucky and Pennsylvania. Information frequently cited in documents, but used to support opposing arguments. Some view this as proof of their naivety and tendency toward superstition. Others argue that researchers cite this very factor to reinforce the idea that they were honest individuals unlikely to fabricate a sensationalist hoax. Setting aside bias and focusing only on objective data, records suggest the group aligns more with the second image. No signs indicate deliberate staging. Observations from government officials who directly interacted with them led to the same conclusion. All were very sincere and consistent. Researcher Robert Lewick once noted that 7 out of 11 provided nearly identical accounts. Such consistency would be extremely difficult to achieve without prior coordination. However, notably, 3 men among the 7 left the scene early in the morning and only returned after the event. Concluded. The only exception lay in the detail regarding the creature's nose, which Billy described differently. This further strengthens the argument against fabrication. Moreover, the group had no motive to stage such a fraud. They reported the incident immediately and appeared deeply troubled by the excessive media attention afterward. Although they later charged admission fees for visits, this was a reluctant act to manage the chaotic situation caused by crowds. Due to the number of witnesses, some researchers suspected alcohol may have affected their perception. However, several officers, after thorough examination, found no signs of intoxication. Mrs. Lord also confirmed her family strictly forbade alcohol consumption. Let's return to the beginning. What did Billy Ray actually see in the sky? He described an object shaped like an egg or bathtub flying upward, leaving behind a brilliant multicolored trail like a rainbow. Could it have been a meteor? That seems plausible, especially since an officer on his way to the farm a few hours later also saw 2 glowing objects in the sky. Additionally, during the same time period, many people witnessed a meteor shower. Yet, this still fails to explain the bizarre events that followed. Ultimately, what mysterious thing did the witnesses describe? First, the height of these entities ranged from 75 centimeters to 1.2 meters, with oversized heads, features commonly associated with gray aliens in related literature. Second, the entities exhibited unusual movement patterns, long arms touching, the ground, stiff legs, yet moving fast, unlike any known vertebrate on Earth. Notably, when struck by bullets, witnesses heard a metallic impact sound, leading to theories that they may have been wearing biomechanical armor made of unknown alloys. Technology far beyond our current capabilities. Moreover, no earthly animal could withstand repeated gunfire at close range without injury. The creatures dodged bullets in unnatural ways, reinforcing the assumption that their reflexes surpassed anything known in organic life forms. They appeared multiple times, continuously interacting with humans, yet never attempting to enter or harm anyone. Their presence seemed purely observational, a behavior typical of highly intelligent species rather than wild animals, driven by instinct. Another detail was their gesture of raising their arms high, a possible signal of peace or intentional nonverbal communication. In numerous global reports, aliens often use this gesture instead of speech. These strange beings also emitted light, reflecting like metal, even in darkness. If not merely reflective clothing, this could suggest an energy mechanism, perhaps a lightweight electrically charged skin or unique material structure. When faced with artificial lighting, they avoided it, behaving as if following a programmed observation protocol. Still, some researchers question the authenticity of the accounts. However, compared to hundreds of similar cases, the Kentucky incident stands out due to the large number of witnesses, consistent descriptions, and lack of signs of deception. Over many decades, the Langford family consistently maintained their story, even passing it on to future generations. But regardless, scientists remain skeptical. Researchers like Brian, Dunning, and Jurgel suggested the creature might have been a great horned owl, common throughout North America. It shares similarities with the description: long ears, large yellow eyes, sharp talons, and an unclear facial outline. Perhaps the witnesses mistook an owl walking on the ground and then flying swiftly into the air. The glowing effect might have been reflections from the owl's eyes under moonlight. The raised arm gesture described by witnesses could simply be the bird spreading its wings defensively, or an illusion created by distance. This theory holds some logic in certain aspects, but also contains major flaws. First, the creature emitted light at night. Owls do not glow. Furthermore, the witnesses were rural farmers familiar with forest wildlife. It's hard to believe they couldn't distinguish an owl over a 4 to 5 hour period. Also, the event occurred at 8 p.m. in August in Kentucky. Twilight still lingered, though fear can distort perception. To this extent, it's difficult to accept. Moreover, the strange entities were described as completely silent. While owls fly silently, they do make sounds when agitated. Other theories proposed raccoons, baby bears, or even exotic animals like lemurs. The U.S. Air Force unit investigating the case concluded in 1957 that the creatures were monkeys painted silver who had escaped from a circus traveling through the area shortly before the event. However, no evidence supports this claim. If not aliens or wild animals, could these have been military machines from the nearby Fort Campo base? Could they have been testing new technology or conducting nighttime exercises that hadn't been publicly announced? These ideas were quickly dismissed, and witnesses argued they were just guesses from people trying to rationalize the event. Although explanations exist for the object in the sky, the crucial part, the prolonged firefight with the strange entities, remains unresolved. Furthermore, if it were truly the military, they would have kept it secret instead of attacking a farmhouse in such an odd manner. there's no reason for American soldiers to dress up and attack a farmhouse in the middle of the night. It's hard to believe a farmhouse in a peaceful rural area became the center of a strange nocturnal disturbance involving bizarre creatures with no apparent purpose. Nonetheless, to this day, no analysis has fully explained all the anomalies. This unverifiable nature and the intersection between personal memories and strange phenomena have made the Hopkinsville incident one of the most notable UFO mysteries in U.S. history. In the end, the only thing we can confirm is that no one knows exactly what happened on the night of August 21st, 1955, at Mrs. Glenn Ford's farm, and perhaps the truth will forever remain beyond the reach of modern science. Thank you for attending. We're delighted to have you, and we hope you enjoyed our content. Please give us a thumbs up, like, and comment. Your support means the world. Subscribe and ring the bell for updates the next video.